Whether you've tracked Tex Murphy through his two previous games or not, odds are you've already lined up to step into the gumshoes shoes in Under a Killing Moon. This gargantuan interactive movie stars Margot Kidder, Brian Keith, and Russell Means, but you already knew that. What you may not know is that the package has now been upped to 3 discs, and that the gamers lucky enough to own a Pentium will get to experience the first-person viewpoint in full screen mode. With a slew of real-life actors and Tex Murphy's inimitable self-piteous bungling, Under a Killing Moon is already a hot topic. Now, if we can just get to play what we've been talking about. The title alone should be enough description for this monster game. The good news is, Mortal Kombat 2 looks and plays impressively like the arcade version on both the Genesis and SNES. Also, unlike its predecessor, it will come standard with blood on all systems that it's being released for. MK2 was a contender for the title of biggest single game attraction at the show, requiring a latecomer to be 7 feet tall or push their way through the crowd to even see the game in action. The general mood created by the game is impressive. The anticipation was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Need I say more? In this game, you can play as your favorite superhero, Spider-Man, Captain America, Venom, or Carnage. It's entirely up to you. Scheduled to be released on Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, Maximum Carnage is also being simultaneously released as an animated television series. Maximum Carnage features all new combat moves and a killer soundtrack performed by Green Jelly. Arachnomania is at its peak, and Maximum Carnage is heading our way. WWF Raw, the most ruthless wrestling game yet, will feature up to 4-player support and offer a host of superstars like Doink, Luna Vachon, and more. This game should have great appeal to wrestling fans.
All-Pro Video Football is a coaching simulation that portrays an all-star game with 51 real player names and stats from the NFL. Up to 2 players coach an all-star team. You make the call, then watch your guys do battle according to your plan. Accolade claims to have filmed over 600 actual football plays. If you think you'll be viewing the same play every time, think again. All-Pro Video Football will be released in September for both the IBM PC CD and Mac CD. This unique 1- or 2-player fighting game uses fighters constructed with balls. This simple method of rendering the fighters allows for a 3D view and ability to move in all directions. Think of it as a low-res version of Virtua Fighter. Balls gives you the option of instant replay of fights and allows you to view from almost any camera angle. At any time, your ball-constructed character can morph into any other character. Balls may sound like a fun kids game, but in reality, it will be fun for all. Balls will be on both the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo and should be available in the immediate future. Brett Hull Hockey 95 is scheduled to be released in October for 3 different systems. The Sega Genesis version will support up to 4 players, Super Nintendo version will support up to 5 players, and the PC version will be 1 to 2 players at once and be up to 26 in season mode. Brett Hull Hockey will feature real NHLPA players, 700 of them to be exact. Accolade gives you the ability to customize team attributes, making them better than real life. Al Michaels does the play-by-play, and you can even create your own all-star team. Brett Hull Hockey 95 has tons to offer on any system. This slapshot should hit home. If you're a fan of Bubsy, you are going to absolutely love Bubsy 2. It's the same furry feline, but with more levels, new wisecracks, and several new items to help along the way. The most important item for Bubsy is a portable hole that allows for travel to any world at any time. The storyline sets you to stop the evil ways of Bacon Gone Bad. Yes, that is Oinker P. Ham. As you already know, cats and water are not birds of a feather. Needless to say, they don't go together. Well, in Bubsy 2, things have changed. Bubsy still hates water, but will brave it, only in his diving suit. Look for this bobcat to be prowling through 30 levels on Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo in October. Billed as a Zelda-type game, Fireteam Rogue should have enough variety to satisfy every gamer. Science fantasy adventure, hand-to-hand, and flight combat are all combined into one game. Scheduled to be released for Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo in November, Fireteam Rogue literally has worlds to offer. Due out any time now for the Super Nintendo is Hardball 3 from Accolade. This version will be very similar to the versions being released for the other systems in that it will feature 700 real players and 28 real stadiums. Also, for you baseball enthusiasts, you can play a full or shortened season and save by password along the way. As also found in the Sega Genesis version, Hardball 3 will include pitching practice and a home run derby. A baseball game with all the real features should be a hit. Play ball! Hardball 4 for the PC will be 256 color SVGA in 640 by 400 resolution. If you're wondering if that makes a big difference in a sports game, rest assured that it does. Hardball 4 looks beautiful and pays great attention to detail. A player's disc is planned for release after the initial game, which should be available in November. Of course, all sports fans know that no sports game is complete without the play-by-play, so Hardball 4 features the voice of legendary sportscaster Al Michaels. New digitized video player graphics, pitching motions, batting swings, and stances combine to make Hardball 4 a home run. Hardball 94 will be available soon for the Sega Genesis. Hardball 94 will offer several features that can make the baseball season even more enjoyable. You can play full, half, or short seasons as well as exhibition games, and battery-backed-up RAM in the cart allows you to save statistics for every player. The league leaderboard displays the top 10 players in each category. For those of you that are Nicklaus Golf Game fans, and for those that aren't, Accolade will be sending Jack Nicklaus Golden Bear Edition our way. Golden Bear Edition will run under Windows and include a Course Architect program. A new feature to the Nicklaus series is the ability to hit the ball even if your lie is in a different fairway. Stroke and skins play are planned to be incorporated into the Golden Bear Edition. You can print stats at any time from the game. Also mentioned was the possibility of a club selection that allows you to choose from digitized Jack Nicklaus clubs. Look for the new Jack Nicklaus in November. Zero Tolerance for the Sega Genesis offers everything you would expect in a Doom-type first-person perspective shooter. The first game of its type for the Sega Genesis, Zero Tolerance lets you fight alien terrorists through 3 different levels. The best way to play Zero Tolerance is in 2-player mode using the AT&T Edge 16 modem. Let's face it, one of the most exciting aspects of this type of game is locating your friend and then letting them have it. Zero Tolerance should make its mark in October.
Longtime veterans of the PC controller market, Advanced Gravis is finally entering the high-end joystick market with the Phoenix Flight and Weapons Control System. This system combines a jet-style flight stick with controls for weapons, rudders, and auxiliary systems. The Phoenix has an impressive total of 24 programmable buttons and comes with pre-configured control settings for most of the popular flight games out there. Customization is made easy by the included software, which features a graphical interface. If it's time for you to go beyond a simple 2-button stick, but you still have to pay the rent, check out the Gravis Phoenix. First it was Checkered Flag 2, then it was Redline Racing, now it's just Checkered Flag. Maybe when a title is decided upon, we'll actually see this one in the stores. No matter what it's called, this game looks like it will have what it takes to be the Jaguar's virtual racing. The polygonal graphics are much prettier than those of any other home system, and the switchable viewpoints and unbridled speed of this racer make it a strong contender for the winner's circle. The one thing I didn't like about this early peek of the game is that even bumping anything slightly brings your car to a total stop and usually pushes it a few feet to the side. To keep the game moving at a good pace, this collision system will need some further work, but the overall outlook is good. With The Shadow Falls, the 5th Double Dragon game, the original Kick and Punch game has undergone a facelift and now emulates the games it spawned. The game now concentrates on one-to-one fighting a la Street Fighter II. The game will feature 12 fighters, each with a home location, 4 levels of difficulty, and 4 turbo modes. Each character will also have 4 to 6 special moves. With some more work, this could turn out to be a pretty entertaining game, but only time will tell if DD5 has what it takes to stand up to its more realistic and more graphic competition. Although still a few months away from release, the Jaguar CD-ROM was seen and heard at the show. The peripheral is a double-speed drive with a 790 megabyte storage capacity. A built-in cartridge slot allows save games, high scores, stats, and other user-definable information to be stored on a data cartridge. The player also plays Cinepack format movies, audio CDs, and CD&G. A built-in program called Virtual Light Machine looks at audio CDs as they are played and creates a spectrum analysis of the sound, which is then translated into a visual light show on your TV. Got all that? The effect is like looking at a kaleidoscope that is keyed to your music. Up to 10 CD games should be available by the end of the year, including Blue Lightning, Battle Morph, Jack Nicklaus Cyber Golf, and Demolition Man. Atari's own Kasumi Ninja has to be one of the most anticipated new carts for the undernourished Jaguar. This is a fighting game par excellence, more mortal than any combat yet. Each character fights with its own unique style, so even common moves vary between characters. Of course, the card will feature special moves, lightning-fast combos, and gruesome fatalities. Expect lots of blood, too, the kind that sticks to the floor and doesn't disappear after a few seconds. Not to be outdone by the current arcade fighting standards, Kasumi Ninja will have countless hidden features, hidden characters, an ability-sensitive computer opponent, a turbo mode, and will run at a very smooth 30 frames per second. But possibly the best feature of the game is your ability to transform into any fighter whom you've beaten and use their powers. Anyone with a case of Shang Tsung envy should appreciate that. Ultra Vortex from Beyond Games was available to drool over on the last day of the show. Another kick-and-punch fighter with multiple pints of blood slapped around for good measure, what sets this one apart from others of its ilk is its futuristic setting. 4 of the 10 characters were ready for play, and it was obvious from the selection that variety will be one of the game's selling points. The digitized characters are slick-looking, as are the backgrounds, and some of the special moves are truly bizarre. Like its blood brother Kasumi Ninja, Ultra Vortex will feature a minor lockout which disables the more brutal elements of this game.
Continuing the tradition of transferring its board games to the PC, Avalon Hill is readying Fifth Fleet for a September release. This naval warfare release is for 1 or 2 players and can be played via email. Set in 1999, the game includes planes and ships that we may see in the near future. It'll be hard to question the authenticity of those projections. The game's programming is being done by Stanley Associates of Washington, D.C., a consulting group which has been doing work for the Defense Department for over 20 years and whose staff includes former officers from every branch of the military service.
Ardy, ar.
Get ready to practice your impression of a scurvy dog for Blackbeard, which sets you loose in search of plunder as you sail the Spanish Main. You play a pirate who gets to board ships, duel, grab ports, and otherwise act as a menace to society. In addition to all of this fun-sounding stuff, the game includes a reference manual which covers the history of pirates. Avalon Hill expects that the game will be available for release sometime in October. Atomic Games, designers of the V for Victory series, have joined forces with Avalon Hill for Operation Crusader, the first in another series called The World at War. Already available for the Macintosh, the PC version of this game should be available as you are viewing this episode of IE. This World War II game, set in the desert of northern Africa, allows you to command either the British or German sides in the battle for the port of Tobruk. Aspiring generals will work through a series of 6 historically based scenarios. Interested in how the city of Stalingrad looked during World War II? Well, pick up the game of the same name from Avalon Hill, which features a map screen actually designed from German army maps and aerial photographs. That kind of detail is important since the battle for control of Stalingrad was waged largely in the streets of the city. Part of Avalon Hill's World at War series, Stalingrad is set for release in early to mid-October. According to the company, the game scenarios all feature an improved version of the game system from Atomic Games first used in Avalon Hill's Operation Crusader. If you're up to it, Avalon Hill is offering you the chance to take on Hitler in the PC adaptation of its board game Third Reich, expected to reach a store near you by the end of the summer. This game offers 4 scenarios, including the Ultimate Challenge, a campaign game covering the years 1939 to 1946. If the thought of such a complicated task leaves you dizzy, you can go with a 2-player team mode, or you can take on the Germans on your own. The game will offer full play on operational and strategic maps.
Television haters may have found the perfect video game in Gex, a 3DO release from Crystal Dynamics, slated for release in November. Our hero, who looks as though he could star in his own Lounge Lizard series, is trapped in the media dimension, the place where bad movies and television shows are sent to die. Gex must kill a television to escape each world. In many ways, Gex is the ultimate platform game, with a twist. The animation, created with 3D models, is simply amazing. Not only can Gex climb walls and walk upside down from the undersides of platforms, he can jump up and cling to the backdrop. He can also smack his opponents with his tail and slobber all over them with his long, flexible tongue. With special power-ups, he can also grow wings and fly, make outrageous jumps, and breathe fire. All in all, Gex himself has over 450 frames of animation. The game features the digitized voice of comedian Dana Gould, who has headline specials on both HBO and Showtime. Crystal Dynamics is giving a big push to this game, including a top 10 list of why it's cool to be Gex. My personal favorites were number 4, perfect for the entertainment business, already has forked tongue, and number 2, unlike John Wayne Bobbitt, important gecko body parts grow back. Are you the type who has a lot of fun crashing and burning? Keep an eye out for Off-World Interceptor, previously called Orion Off-Road, a drive and shoot game for the 3DO currently under development at Crystal Dynamics, in which you drive your 4x4 against a vicious opponent through 6 different worlds. You follow a course along some of the roughest terrain in this neck of the galaxy. Obstacles, such as trees, other vehicles, and gun turrets, will try and stop you. Is this a problem? No way! Just dodge them, blow them up, or jump over them. Drive up the sides of cliffs, leap fearlessly off huge plateaus. Insane maneuvers are our specialty. The game will feature a CD-quality soundtrack, and the terrain is enhanced by texture map polygon graphics. Judging from the demo version of the game on display at the Summer CES, even bad accidents will be loads of fun. Driving off the side of the mountain is almost peaceful, since you can slowly rotate your vehicle as you drop to the ground. If you hated the aliens in Star Control 2 on PC, you're going to despise them in Crystal Dynamics' 3DO version of the game, which should be in local stores at about the time you're seeing this. The new release will feature the same action-adventure, fighting, exploring, puzzle-solving aspects of the old version, with a few new twists. Those ugly aliens will be able to talk, meaning they'll now disgust you with their voices, as well as their looks. The 3DO version will have 3D images of the ships. The screen will feature continuous zooming during the battle sequences, and there will also be an improved digital soundtrack.
Domark has already distinguished itself in the flight simulator department, and most of their featured games fall into this well-trodden category. The most adventurous of these is a 32-bit helicopter sim called Apache. The production team is led by Brian Walker, a former AH-64 Apache pilot and Desert Storm veteran. Apache promises an exceptionally accurate flight experience in one of America's most modern machines of war. It utilizes super VGA graphics and digitized stereo sound recorded in flight. The game is scheduled to be released in October of 1995 on 32X, Saturn, 3DO, Power Mac, and PC CD-ROM platforms.
Dogfight will be another add-on for FST, which can also play independently. The designers have taken it upon themselves not only to create a good-looking game, but to allow more player control over the details of each plane than any sim has done before. Dogfight will feature a more modular AI, allowing the player to adjust elements like aggressiveness, G-tolerance, and physical strength in the computer opponents. Look for it in late October.
Even though the bulk of Domark's releases are flight sims, most of their presentation was taken up with a demonstration of their new fantasy adventure, Lords of Midnight: The Citadel. While we previewed the game last episode, there are now a few more developments to mention. Lords of Midnight has many different characters involved in its story, which the player can choose between. The game progresses in real time, and the player can set the action to continue even after logging off, so that if you don't play for a day, that day also passes in the game world. Also, the landscape is fractally generated so that a lot more ground can be covered. In short, this is just a huge game and will hopefully be available for PC CD-ROM in late 1994. Domark continues their line of flight sims for the Power Mac with the sequel to Flying Nightmares: Out of the Sun. The game features simulations of 4 important aerial battles from World War II. The player can take either the Axis or Allied side and participate in fast-paced dogfights. The missions also include bombing and torpedo runs. Out of the Sun should be in stores by the time this episode of IE is available. For those who just can't get enough of that war to end all wars, Domark will be releasing the creatively titled World War II, an add-on for Flight Sim Toolkit. As with Out of the Sun, the player can choose to fly for either side. World War II boasts improved AI and the addition of bombers, tailguns, and torpedoes, as well as the option of assigning planes to whatever side you like. Fly a Zero for the Allies? Hey, why not?
Virtual reality is fast becoming one of those useless buzzwords that have more to do with PR hype than anything else. But at the CES, VR was actually being shown. The VR pavilion was filled with companies with headgear in development, but it was Forte that made the biggest impression with gamers.
Odds are you've gotten the inside scoop on Doom 2 by now, so we'll just throw a few adjectives your way. Bigger, badder, meaner, evil, sick, twisted, depraved, nasty, fallen, and can't get up? When IE talked to John Romero at the GT booth, he revealed a couple of updates about the game everybody's waiting to fear. There's good news and bad news, depending on how you look at it. First, the skeleton that shoots guided missiles at you may not make it into the final rendition. That's the bad news, if you're not a wimp. The good news is that there's a secret level, rumored to be on the starting level, but don't quote me. A secret elevator will take you to the first level of Wolfenstein. All of us who wanted to see Wolfie redone with the Doom engine, this is our chance. When John Romero pulled our ace reporter aside, we knew he wasn't going to kill him off for being a serious threat to his deathmatch title. What he revealed was the most shocking thing we've ever heard since Origin delayed their summer lineup. There has been a new code added to Doom 2. Entering the game, typing ID SPISPOOPDQJFASNFUDRISODCOC and hitting the reset button 6 times in under a second will force the game into using a hidden alternate set of monsters. Although John was contractually bound with id not to reveal any secret monsters' attacks or behavior, he was able to conceal several slides in a roll of toilet paper and leave them for us in the men's room. Although nobody at id would comment about this amazing scoop, we think the pictures speak for themselves. No further proof is necessary. Doom 2 is undeniably the most frightening software the computer entertainment industry has ever seen.
My bloody has the first name, it's FABIO.
It had to happen sooner or later. Guys can treat themselves to Penthouse Interactive, so why shouldn't women have the Fabio screensaver and wallpaper for Windows? For a mere $30, you can get a whopping 12 color photos of the most intriguing person we've never heard speak. For the male audience, pictures of the Fab can be printed out complete with customizable overlays which include a dartboard, blackened out teeth, and Beavis and Butthead holding a lip match to his hair. Okay, that's a lie. But wouldn't it be cool if it were true? Also on the horizon from GT Interactive is Richard Simmons' Deal-A-Meal. In this product, the fitness guru acts as your online advisor as you colonize the dinner table, produce and trade valuable low-calorie recipes, fend off hostile enemy invaders from the planet Twinkie, and increase your nutrition level with the ultimate goal of creating a kinder, gentler, fat-free world. Several passers-by, many of whom are IE staffers, were heard to mutter unmentionable remarks.
If your head hurt trying to figure out D-Day, the beginning of the end, from Impressions, the company has come up with a solution. It's called Frontlines, a new release that Chris Foster of Impressions called a beer and pretzels turn-based hex map board game. The game is set in the near future, which allowed the designers to project and include technology that isn't available now. You'll use contemporary tactics in Frontlines, which will include play against the computer, another opponent, or modem play, as well as a scenario builder. Using a business simulation to run a modern shipping company would be about as exciting as watching paint dry. However, using the same business simulation to play the part of a globe-trotting pirate could be exciting. And that's what Impressions was thinking of when it came up with High Seas Trader. Set in the 17th and 18th centuries, this game lets you sail and trade between 120 ports as you strive against friends and foes for financial control of the high seas. You can attack your opponent's ships, electing to sink them or board them after they surrender and take all of their goods, bringing a new meaning to the phrase hostile takeover. It's the challenge that's always faced parents and teachers, tricking children into learning. The easiest way to accomplish that task is to come up with an educational game, which is what Impressions has in Project USA, a follow-up to My First World Atlas designed to teach geography to 8 to 12-year-olds. Project USA has new graphics and a new design. Kids can click and point while learning where states are located and what their capital cities are. While flying across the country, children can drop in and learn a multitude of facts about all 50 states. iMotion seems to be a strong believer in the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Most of their upcoming products are sequels, but this is not exactly unusual in the industry. In early 1995, we can look forward to more of the continuing adventures of Detective Edward Carnby in Alone in the Dark 3. The Dark series started off as an elaboration on H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos and progressed in Part 2 to ghostly pirate ships and voodoo queens. The third installment is an American Gothic adventure set in a western ghost town. And for those who like listening to sketchy rumors, the plans for Dark 4 revolve around a Civil War storyline, but you can bet it won't be your standard military fare. What's new about Dark 3 that we haven't seen in Dark 2? More control over the perspective, for one thing. While the cinematic angles from the first two games are still prominent, you can also set up a camera to revolve continually around Carnby or play from a first-person Doom-style view. Also, when Carnby dies, he gets a new lease on life and is reincarnated as a wildcat. Shadow of the Comet is barely out, and already these guys are releasing a sequel. Well, in fact, Comet was planned from the beginning as one of a series of games based directly on Lovecraft to take the burden off of the Dark games. So Prisoner of Ice is not exactly a sequel, but is definitely a companion piece. It seems one of the Elder Gods has been frozen for eons and is discovered by a group of humans. What a find. Unfortunately, the ice is now melting, and the creature won't be a prisoner of ice for much longer. Look for this one at the end of the year.
Alone in the Dark was by far one of Interplay's most popular titles on the PC, and now they've decided to try their luck on the 3DO. In a nutshell, Alone in the Dark is one of those horror/puzzle/adventure/combat games. The setting of the game is the huge haunted mansion called Darsetto. You can use such various weapons as knives, swords, guns, and bow and arrows. Alone in the Dark also happens to be one of the very few games out there that lets you play from either a male or female viewpoint. Look for this game to be one of the best games out for the 3DO. Blackthorn is Interplay's latest adventure game for the Super Nintendo. This nouveau sci-fi game is extremely reminiscent of Interplay's older hit, Out of This World. The blocky character graphics of Out of This World have been replaced with fluid rotoscoped animation. The storyline is a lot less linear, and the player character now has quite a few more gameplay techniques to master, like hiding in shadows and shooting without looking. For those Out of This World and Flashback fans out there, Blackthorn is a must-have. Boogerman has got to be one of the most disgusting games I've ever seen. And to tell you the truth, it looks fantastic. Boogerman picks and flicks his nose, releases sonic burps, and last but not least, lets rip some incredibly realistic-sounding flatulations. You increase the power of Boogerman's gastric releases by holding down the activation button. Although Boogerman is a sick and disgusting game, it's got some serious stats to back it up. This huge 16 meg card has over 20 nasty, foul levels to wade through, and the animation is running at a cool 24 frames per second. Beavis and Butthead fans, look out.
Designed for serious bridge players, Interplay plans for Bridge Deluxe 2 to feature the most advanced artificial intelligence of any bridge game on the market. Internationally renowned bridge masters, including Omar Sharif, who appears in video footage when playing as partner or tutor, have contributed to the development of the game's tutorial. Bridge Deluxe 2 will be released simultaneously on CD and floppy in the third quarter of 1994.
Clay Fighter for the Genesis is on its way. The now classic game from Interplay has finally found its way onto the Genesis. Virtually an exact copy of the Super Nintendo game with maybe a little less graphic intensity and a little more playability. For those of you not familiar with Clay Fighter, just imagine Street Fighter II with Silly Putty. Clay Fighter for the Genesis is definitely a fighting game to look for. Clay Fighter 2, or C2 Judgment Clay as it's being called, is sure to raise a few eyebrows. The follow-up to one of the most popular fighting games on the Super Nintendo is sporting quite a few upgrades. C2 is a whopping 24 meg cart with 9 new characters to fight with the Blob and Mr. Frosty making a second appearance, though the final number may be different, and I'm told there will be quite a few hidden characters. The graphics have been totally redone, and as you can see, there's quite an improvement with quite a few more animations. C2 has what it takes to be another hit for Interplay. All we have to do is wait.
Without question, Interplay's big news at the CES show was Siberia. Set in 2027 following an economic collapse, the world is essentially controlled by two factions, big business and big crime. In Siberia, you control Zack, a cyber spy jailed after being caught ripping off the Interbank. As Zack, you must race to recover a doomsday device hidden in a secret research facility beneath the frozen wastelands of northern Asia. Siberia has been designed from the ground up to be as movie-like as possible. Like a movie, different scenes in the game have different feels and so offer different types of gameplay. For example, there are action sequences involving shooting down enemy fighter craft, as well as alone-in-the-dark style adventure scenes. All of the graphics for Siberia have been rendered on SGIs using Wavefront. It is scheduled for release in the fourth quarter of 1994. After LucasArts' Dark Forces, this was probably the most interesting first-person shooter announced at the show. In it, you pilot a vehicle which can not only pivot 360 degrees around a fixed axis, it can pitch, yaw, and roll at will as well. That's correct. Descent may well be the first true free-scrolling 3D environment, allowing you to turn and move in absolutely any direction. You pilot a vehicle sent to scour the mines of Pluto of a vile alien infestation. Your mission? Stop them before they reach Earth. Descent will have support for 5-person network play, 30 levels of mines to explore, and intelligent, morphing aliens that learn from their encounters with you and adapt. Descent is scheduled for release in the fourth quarter of 1994. Unlike Chaos Strikes Back, which the designers describe as an expansion or add-on, Dungeon Master 2 is a true sequel to the classic role-playing game that was a pioneer in mouse-driven interfaces. Dungeon Master 2 Skullkeep will feature the same entertaining gameplay as the original, but will add 256-color VGA graphics, new intelligent monsters, more weapons, and above-ground outdoor areas to explore. DM2 is scheduled for an October or November release. Featuring a classic fantasy storyline, Kingdom is an animated fantasy adventure for the PC, CD, and 3DO. In it, you control the last of the Argent Kings as he searches to recover the 5 pieces of a lost amulet and cleanse the land of 5 kingdoms of the dark magic that infests it. Kingdom will be available in the fourth quarter of 1994.
One of the most popular trilogies of all time is now coming to a Super Nintendo near you. Lord of the Rings by Interplay has been on almost every system available. This particular release will include real-time party-based combat. Your party will pick up and drop non-player characters as the story unfolds. J.R.R. Tolkien fans should take notice. Lord of the Rings looks like a great role-playing game. The surprise hit of years past, Out of This World for the 3DO, is being shown at the Interplay booth. In case you've been living in a cave for the past 10 years, in Out of This World you play Lester Knight Shaken, a scientist that has accidentally been blasted to another world by an experiment gone awry. You must solve puzzles and kill lots of monsters to get back home. The simple but extremely realistic rotoscoped polygon animations broke new ground when it was originally released for the IBM PC. Coupled with its smooth gameplay and superb storyline, Out of This World should appeal to anyone who owns a 3DO. Rock and Roll Racing is another original Super Nintendo game being ported to the Genesis. This super off-road clone has more than 37 tracks and finally some real tunes like Bad to the Bone and Born to be Wild. Rock and Roll Racing also allows 2-player simultaneous play so you can race your friends. Expect to see the same gameplay and challenges that were in the Super Nintendo release several months ago.
As with SimCity Enhanced CD-ROM, released earlier this year, Interplay has obtained the rights to create enhanced CD versions of Maxis's popular SimAnt and SimEarth. Gameplay is essentially the same as the originals. In SimAnt, you control an ant colony, while in SimEarth you direct the biosphere of an entire planet. These new versions will offer rendered and live-action video cutscenes. SimAnt also features an upgrade to 256-color Super VGA graphics and introduces SimAntha, who will guide you through the basics of running an ant colony. SimEarth will allow you to walk on your planet in a first-person perspective view for the first time. SimAnt is scheduled for release around Christmas time. No release date was given for SimEarth, but it is anticipated to be available early in '95.
For the Star Trek fan in all of us, Interplay will be releasing Star Trek Starfleet Academy, the Bridge Simulator. This virtual Star Trek simulator will allow you to control one of 3 ships in more than 30 missions. Most of the battle will be concentrated from the bridge. It even has the Gettysburg of all Star Trek battles, the Kobayashi Maru scenario.
Interplay is hoping that this real-time, hybrid strategy action game will enjoy the appeal of recent hits such as Star Control 2 and Dark Legions. In it, you must balance your resources as well as fight over control of the planets which supply them. Star Reach is intended to be a quick game with scenarios playable in a few hours. It allows up to 4 players to choose from up to 7 different alien races. If you hate arcade-style combat, you can disable that element of the game and simply control the strategic end of things. A network version is planned, but it's not clear at this time whether network support will be available when the game initially ships this summer. Star Reach will include several scenarios, but rumor has it that the designers plan to release a scenario editor as freeware over the net sometime after the game is released. Interplay assures us that this long-anticipated fantasy role-playing game is nearing completion. Stonekeep is an epic fantasy adventure featuring fully rendered backgrounds combined with digitized video. In order to achieve a cinematic feel, Interplay has brought in several Hollywood consultants to assist with the filming and special effects. Look for it on CD-ROM only by the end of the year. If you're looking for an unusual twist in gameplay, Voyeur may well be it. Interplay is bringing this political thriller to PC CD-ROM from the Philips CDI. In it, you must use a video camera to capture scenes through the window of a presidential candidate. Correctly choosing what to save, and what to leave on the cutting room floor, will impact the leadership of this country for the next 4 years. Keep an eye out for Voyeur PC CD in the fourth quarter of 1994.
Dungeon Master 2 Skullkeep for the Sega CD is described as accessible for beginning to experienced RPGers alike. You're given the task of finding the 4 keys to the Skullkeep, for whoever finds the keys can either destroy or save the world. JVC claims that Skullkeep is the most extensive RPG for the Sega CD to date. This may or may not be saying much since there are currently very few RPGs for the Sega CD. Although Skullkeep does feature an entire fantasy universe, the future will tell just how powerful this CD will be. JVC has announced that it will be bringing the Monster SNK hit Fatal Fury Special to the Sega CD during the last quarter of '94. The Sega CD version will include every aspect of the Neo Geo version, plus the addition of new never-before-seen combos and death moves. Also, look for your old pal Geese Howard to be resurrected. Fatal Fury Special should fill a much-needed void for good fighting games in the Sega CD library. You can choose not only the regulars from Fatal Fury 2, but the bosses as well, for a total of 15 fighters in all. With each character having 6 different special moves, there should be enough variety for everyone. Ghoul Patrol is a solo or cooperative ghost-busting arcade game that allows you to fight ghosts from all ranges of history. JVC has high hopes to pay Ghoul Patrol its due with a timely release in the Halloween time frame. This game looks to be chock full of spooky seasonings, including a cemetery crawling with the undead, shark-infested waters, and zombified samurai. Even though the thought of another ghost-busting game is scary enough, many people will likely enjoy it for the cool weapons, from homing plasma rifles to suction cup arrows. As previously mentioned, don't waste your time hunting this one down until Halloween. But in the meantime, boo! JVC has announced that it will release an Indy Jones trilogy containing Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Temple of Doom, and The Last Crusade. Indiana Jones's Greatest Adventures ties all 3 movie storylines together in a game that was developed by LucasArts specifically for the Super Nintendo. Featured in Indiana Jones' Greatest Adventures are the famous minecart ride, settings such as the Well of Souls and the Chachapoyan Temple, and familiar foes like Colonel Vogel and Renee Belloc. For all our gaming fantasies, Indy's famous whip will be available throughout the journey. Indy's new quest will begin in the last quarter of this year. Samurai Showdown is yet another SNK fighting game being ported to the Sega CD system. This arcade smash features 12 different fighters to choose from, each with their own unique fighting style and lethal weaponry. Samurai Showdown will be a 1 or 2 player fighting game and should be available around the end of the year. Rebel Assault is yet another Star Wars title coming to the Sega CD. Being that Rebel Assault is a Star Wars title will be enough reason for its predestined popularity. This time, to no one's surprise, you must destroy Darth Vader and the Empire in this action flight simulator game. Pilot 4 different Star Wars vehicles through 15 levels of action. Rebel Assault will include digitized cinematic displays from the trilogy and additional footage created exclusively for this game. Star Wars Rebel Assault should be available by the time you view this episode of IE. This 16-meg cart for the Super Nintendo features a storyline based on the final chapter in the Star Wars saga. You can play as 5 different characters and can encounter dark side villains from Jabba the Hutt to Darth Vader. Super Return of the Jedi looks as though it will be a popular game upon release. Look for this one-player game in the later part of this year. Taken from the Van Damme movie, Time Cop should blast its way into homes everywhere at the end of this year. This one-player action-adventure game will be available for the Sega CD and Super Nintendo, and will be based on the Dark Horse comic book series. You have 8 levels of hell to survive to complete each mission. New digitizing techniques give this game sharp graphics that everyone will appreciate. Scheduled for release in the last quarter of this year, World Championship Rally will be racing its way into homes equipped with a Sega CD or Super Nintendo. The Sega CD version will feature digitized video footage from top rally routes, including 35 stages from the British Rally. The SNES version will feature 5 different tracks to tackle. Other details include varying weather conditions and card damage that must be repaired on the fly. This game should be popular at gatherings because it supports up to 4 players. Get ready, because it won't be long before you'll need to start your engines.
If you think the airline wars are bad now, what's going to happen in 20 years? In Aerobiz Supersonic, the player is a hot new CEO out to change the face of the business map at the start of the 21st century. The game is not limited to the futuristic scenario, though. There's a choice of 4 eras in aviation history. Also, true to the nature of the business world, the player can diversify his interests through ventures like golf courses and ski resorts. Aerobiz Supersonic will be available for SNES in September and for Genesis in early December. Happy landings! Celtic Tales, The Valor of the Evil Eye is a role-playing adventure for the PC which promises, if nothing else, to be different. The early Celtic tribes of Ireland have seldom been used as the basis for a computer game before now. The player chooses between 8 gods and demigods from Celtic mythology and must use his power and influence to save the people of Ire from their otherworld enemies, the Fomors, led by Balor. The adventure begins in September. Liberty or Death is a strategy game based on the American Revolution. It's surprising that this idea hasn't been used more often, since this was a terribly romantic and idealistic period in our history. Of course, if the player prefers to think that the colonists should never have rebelled against their king, he can play the British side instead. The player has to raise the funds needed to back up his generals, supply his troops, build forts, and forge new weapons. This is all occasionally punctuated by nice bits of rhetoric like the Patrick Henry quote the game took its title from. Liberty or Death was released for SNES in April, and the Genesis version will be out in August. Because there's never any shortage of people who want to fight World War II all over again, Koei has released Operation Europe. The player can control either Axis or Allied forces in this strategy game. There are 6 historical battles to choose from, and the commanding officers are chosen from actual historical figures such as Patton and Rommel. The Sega version was released in June and the Nintendo version in July. If you're already familiar with that fun-loving 16th century Japanese warlord, Nobunaga, and his ambition, well, he's back to try and take over Japan again in Lord of Darkness. Once again, the player can choose to try and hold him at bay, or take an equal part in the happy carnage. Lord of Darkness is, surprise, surprise, a military strategy game, and there's lots of Japanese tradition thrown in on top of that. You can expect Nobunaga to rear his ugly head in October for the SNES. It's hard to picture a title summing up a game better than Stop That Roach. Really, what more needs to be said? There are roaches in the kitchen, and you would prefer there not be, so you attack them with whatever household implement is closest. Finally, a game about real life. No, this is not a major strategy title, it's just some silliness for the Game Boy, and you can expect it in late August. Nowadays, the career opportunities for someone who wants to be a global explorer are somewhat limited, but they can soon pick up a copy of New Horizons, the game for all those would-be Ponce de Leons. There are 6 characters to choose from and over 130 places to visit. Get spices from the natives, fight pirates, discover new continents, stuff like that. The SNES version will be available in mid-October and the Genesis version in early November.
In this science fiction strategy adventure game, you are supplied with an intricately rendered spaceship to roam around in. With a game that looks so well thought and planned, graphically speaking of course, the only uncertainty I have is how the game will play. The future should be able to answer that question for all of us. Legend President Bob Bates boasts Mission Critical is more than the average adventure game. And visually, this game is a sight for sore eyes. For those who wish to find out how big Mission Critical will be, start looking for it around the end of the year. The storyline places you as the lone survivor of a deep space battle aboard the USS Lexington, your horribly damaged heavy cruiser. With virtually nothing functional on the ship, you must repair and fix the Lexington and return it to some sort of fighting ability as more enemy ships are headed in your direction. The overall mission for you and the USS Lexington is to investigate the unexplored alien world. If all goes well, you can save the universe from 15 years of interplanetary war. Mission Critical features a virtual world with smooth-scrolling 3D environments and is rendered in 640 by 480 Super VGA graphics. Also featured are full-motion video and detailed battle sequences. Mission Critical will be available for the PC CD-ROM. Based on the best-selling novel series by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, Legends Deathgate has the look of a winner. This graphic fantasy adventure will initially be available on CD. A floppy version may follow, but isn't certain at this point. Using the Companions of Xanth interface and Super VGA graphics, the game's 640 by 480 resolution makes it stand apart from other role-playing adventure lines of games. According to Deathgate's plot, Spartan broke the world seal and the planet itself into 5 realms. Now from the labyrinth, you must seek revenge on Spartan. During this quest, you must gather and reconstruct the 5 pieces of the world seal that lie on the other side of Deathgate. There was a great deal of new and exciting information about The Dig at the show. The big news was that LucasArts' sister company, Industrial Light and Magic, best known for its award-winning movie and television special effects, will be creating the special effects for The Dig. This is the first time ILM has ever contributed computer-generated effects specifically to an interactive game. Based on an unproduced script given to Steven Spielberg for the Amazing Stories television series, The Dig centers around a team of astronauts sent out to rendezvous with an asteroid which is on a collision course with the Earth. After detonating 2 nuclear devices to deflect the asteroid from its fatal trajectory, the team lands on its surface only to have the asteroid transform into an alien starship which transports them light years from Earth. The player gets to control Boston Lowe, the team's leader, as he tries to keep the team working together to decipher the alien technology which will return them to Earth. A release date for The Dig has not been specified. Current rumor has it that the game is being pushed back again in order to replace the animated characters with video footage of live actors, but this has not yet been confirmed by LucasArts. Without question, the crowd pleaser at the LucasArts booth was Dark Forces. Like many other companies at the show, LucasArts has clearly acknowledged the popularity of Doom and concocted a first-person perspective, free-scrolling shooter of their own. Unlike many companies at the show, however, Dark Forces isn't just a cheap knockoff. It's an excellent game in its own right, and one which stands out from the hordes of Dune clones shortly to be unleashed. Dark Forces uses a proprietary engine developed by LucasArts. It's fast and smooth, and the texture maps are amazing. You move freely throughout the various settings for the game, blasting stormtroopers and other Imperials, seeking the objective of whatever mission you're on. In addition to 360-degree free-scrolling movement, you can look up and down, jump, and duck. In terms of sheer fun, Dark Forces seems to be the kind of game you'll find yourself having to be dragged away from kicking and screaming even in its early stages. Slap a power cell into your trusty blaster and prepare to take aim at the dark side in time for Christmas. The most traditional product in LucasArts' new lineup is Full Throttle, but don't let that fool you into thinking it's not worth a second look. True, it's a side-view, third-person perspective graphic adventure like Sam & Max and Day of the Tentacle. It's also true that there are puzzles involving finding the right object to use in the right place, much as you will find in any other adventure game. But there, the similarity ends. It's a dark and dangerous future. The government has collapsed, leaving justice to be meted out by those strong enough to enforce their will. Rival biker gangs prowl the highways. Malcolm Corley, the owner of Corley Motors, the last manufacturer of the motorcycles that sustain these gangs' way of life, has been murdered. You control Ben Throttle, who's been framed for the crime. The object of Full Throttle is to keep Ben out of the hands of the police long enough to gather the evidence he needs to prove his innocence. Full Throttle will be the most cinematic adventure game LucasArts has yet attempted. It will feature numerous varying camera angles and full digitized speech. The CD-ROM only release is currently scheduled for the end of '94/beginning of '95. Don't call it a screensaver because LucasArts' first entry into the productivity software market offers a great deal more than a screensaver. In addition to modules which depict scenes and characters from the original film, several models offer a behind-the-scenes peek at the creation of Star Wars with storyboards, pre-production sketches, and the complete screenplay of the movie. In addition to this wealth of information about the film, several of the action-oriented modules are among the best screensaver concepts since Opus and Bill. Popular favorites include a lightsaber duel between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, the Death Star trench battle, and hordes of Jawas and Tusken Raiders shuffling across the screen, stealing and blowing up screen elements such as icons and program groups. Star Wars Screen Entertainment is compatible with Berkeley Software's After Dark series of screensavers. It should be available for Windows and Mac by the time you view this episode of IE. The finished version of TIE Fighter was available at the show and should be shipping before this episode of IE. In it, you fly for the Empire for the first time ever in a Star Wars game. Like its predecessor X-Wing, you fly a series of missions linked together with storyline elements. However, TIE Fighter is less linear than X-Wing, and numerous enhancements have been added to the gameplay, such as the ability to rearm your craft during the course of a single mission. Click and Play is a game creation toolkit from the people who brought you the classic sim products. In minutes, you can design your own computer games, whether they be arcade, strategy, educational, logic puzzles, or whatever you like. No programming skill required. Click and Play should be available for Windows this fall. GiftMaker is not a game, but is really an electronic order form for a personalizing store. You can design coffee mugs, t-shirts, or whatever using the application and then send the template off to Artistic Greetings to be made. They'll even gift wrap it for you. Look for GiftMaker this fall. Sim Tower is like SimCity, but it's all one building. The player constructs a towering skyscraper and tries to maintain it as a balanced and profitable piece of commercial real estate by leasing out space inside for apartments, offices, restaurants, and shops. While the first three letters of this product generally guarantee high sales, Maxis has also managed to keep a high level of quality in production and gameplay within the Sim family. This newest sibling will be available for Macintosh in the fourth quarter of '94, with a Windows version to follow soon after. Maxis will soon be opening the doors of its sim games to a younger audience. SimTown lets kids aged 8 to 12 build and manage a small town and influence the lives of the people who live there. This game will even allow simulations on an individual level. Yes, you can make your own Sim Citizen all the way down to your favorite foods. Why should adults have all the fun? SimTown will live up to the extremely high standards set up by its more grown-up predecessors. It will be available for the Macintosh CD-ROM this fall and the PC CD-ROM in the winter. While Widget Workshop doesn't mention cartoonist Rube Goldberg by name, the product was almost certainly inspired by his work. Kids aged 8 and up can build their own inventions with hundreds of joinable objects. The resulting widgets have one advantage over Goldberg's creations: they are scientifically accurate. Widget Workshop also includes a game where the player has to figure out what a pre-built invention does. There are even some real-life widgets in the game box to play with, like a wooden top, a thermometer, a compass, and more. The Mac version of Widget Workshop will be available this fall, and the DOS and Windows versions in the first quarter of 1995.
So, sweetheart, are you really a hep cat or just some joker from out of town trying to act like you belong? It's better to be with it in Coolsville, where Duck Ellington, Melodious Monk, and a cab named Calloway are all worried because someone is out to destroy their town. In this CD-ROM release from MediaVision, your task is to find a missing guru and keep Coolsville from going square. As you conduct, pun intended, your search, you will put together a band that'll blow the house down in the big gig at the end of the game. There's some great jazz being played here, so hang loose and be cool. Dig it? Some days are worse than others. For instance, it's a really bad day when you lose consciousness in a dogfight and wake up to discover that all that's left of you is your brain, which is hooked up to a box in an alien spaceship, which is on a collision course with the sun. That's the premise of the Daedalus Encounter, a 2-CD game from MediaVision due out in the fall. Of course, you don't feel quite as bad when you notice that one of the aliens in your new home is Tia Carrere, who played the babe in both Wayne's World movies and will be featured in Arnold Schwarzenegger's upcoming film, True Lies. This interactive game allows you to explore your alien spaceship, battle against other aliens, and solve puzzles. At first glance, you'll think Hodge and Podge, a new CD-ROM title due from MediaVision this fall, is for your kids. But be forewarned. Any game that rewards you with the hands, hearts, and other body parts of fair princesses isn't just for children. Hodge and Podge was put together by Steve Mertzke, a designer with a reputation for a sense of humor. Your search for the fair princesses Mission Mosh takes you through 20 different games in the kingdom of potpourri. With a wide variety of options available, it's doubtful that either you or your kids will get bored playing this game. Looking for a sure way to come up with an interactive adventure game that has different endings? Try putting your confused hero into a situation where he slips in and out of 3 different realities, and make sure he's never quite certain what's real and what isn't. That's what MediaVision has done in Quantum Gate 2, a CD-ROM sequel that features 5 hours of video versus the 2 hours on the original Quantum Gate. The designers also tried to make the sequel more game-oriented, which is probably not a bad idea in light of the fact that the character you play doesn't know for certain who or where he is. Shadow President was highly acclaimed as a groundbreaking political simulation. In Cyber Judas, DC True, the creators of Shadow President, are back with a vengeance. This time, not only are you responsible for managing the most powerful country in the world, there's a twist. One of your 6 advisors is a traitor and will attempt to undermine your best efforts towards peace and prosperity. All the graphics in Cyber Judas have been rendered in SGIs using Wavefront. However, the high standard of strategy gameplay established by Shadow President is not being overlooked. You are responsible for maintaining relations with 168 countries around the world, and the political climate is randomly generated each time you start a new game. So just because Uganda was your friend the last time you played doesn't mean it will be so this time. While you juggle the myriad responsibilities of the presidency, you've got to ferret out which one of your cabinet is the Cyber Judith. Worse, once you find one traitor, another will appear. This one even harder to identify. Cyber Judas is scheduled for release this fall only on CD-ROM. Designed by Gemsoft, whose ranks include developers of such diverse products as Amtex's Pinball Engine to Gold Disc's Astound, this fast jet fighting game is intended to be more arcade action than hardcore flight sim, but don't look on that as a drawback. The action is kept simple to make the game accessible to those gamers who may not be die-hard air war fans. Not because the engine doesn't have the capacity to be a true flight sim. The engine, designed in Russia, supports a fast frame rate and on a powerful machine can run at a screen resolution up to 800 by 600 in 256 colors. The engine is also scheduled to be used in a product with the working title of Maelstrom Flight Campaigns, a story-driven first-person space combat game set in the Maelstrom universe scheduled for late autumn release. Among the other features that make Fighter Wing attractive to non-jet jocks is network support. The company claims the final product, due to be shipped at the end of September, will support up to 16. That's right, I said 16 players head-to-head over a LAN. Additionally, the CD version of the game will offer digitized video sequences from the Discovery Channel's popular television program Firepower. In case you have missed the previous IE coverage of this intriguing first-person shoot-'em-up, here's a recap. Dr. Radiaki, a mad scientist straight out of the worst B movies, has sequestered himself on his island fortress in the Pacific. He's blackmailing the world with the threat of nuclear destruction unless he's given $1 billion. As UN Special Agent Mac Banner, you are launched onto the island via torpedo tube. Your mission, defeat the hordes of mutant monsters guarding his base and stop him. What sets Radiaki apart from other games of this nature are its whimsical tone and the beauty of its graphics. All of the monsters on Radiaki's island, ranging from crazed samurai to mutant alligators to robots built from whatever spare parts are lying around, have been rendered from a variety of angles using 3D Studio. What this means is that they look solid and three-dimensional. When you walk around behind a monster, you see its back, until it turns its face to you, that is. The fortress of Dr. Radiaki is being designed by Maelstrom Software, which includes several developers who have worked on the original Privateer from Origin. Dr. Radiaki is scheduled for release in August, with a CD version to follow a month later. Also worth noting is that Merit plans to release another game using the Radiaki engine, entitled Enclave, in early 1995. In their booth, Merit was running a demo labeled merely Genome, coming in 1995. Since the show, we've managed to dig up a few details on this hot-looking game. It is intended to be a CD-based interactive movie, which features puzzles, character interaction, and both personal and vehicle-based action. Set 2,000 years in the future, the story revolves around the efforts of Joshua Pullen, the sheriff of a group of planets on the galaxy's outer rim, to uncover the secrets of a mysterious creature, the Genome, which is killing people on the frontier planet of Ruellen. While details are still sketchy, word is that Genome will feature texture-mapped polygon creatures and vehicles with 3D Studio rendered backdrops, as well as MPEG video of live actors playing the roles of the characters in the game. As this controversial game nears completion, two things become apparent. As promised, no compromises have been made in the game's content, and the gameplay is starting to look sharp. The semi-playable version, Future Vision, displayed at the CES showed the main characters walking around animation working, as was some of the fighting animation. The game was running in a crisp-looking 640 by 480 by 256 colors. The latest technological surprise is that Harvester will feature full 16-bit stereo sound, with the game engine converting the audio to 8-bit on the fly for those who don't have a 16-bit sound card. One final development. Plans are in the works for another game using the Harvester engine, this time with a cyberpunk theme, also to be written by Gilbert Austin. The new game, which is yet untitled, is tentatively slated for release in January of 1995. Created by the Multimedia Store, The Psychotron is an espionage thriller with a strong plot featuring full-motion video for Windows. Set in the present day, the story revolves around the U.S. purchasing the fruits of Russian parapsychological research, the Psychotron. When the plane transporting the Psychotron to the U.S. crash lands in Virginia, you are called in to investigate. To solve the mysteries revolving around the crash, you must search through the offices of the CIA agents who died aboard the plane. This offers clues, as well as red herrings, which lead you to people you can interrogate. Interviewing the many characters in the game is accomplished using a point-and-click interface, with the subject's replies in the form of short video clips. The final interesting point about the Psychotron is that it is multiplayer. 1, 2, or 4 players can participate in the game, taking turns questioning subjects and pursuing clues. The Psychotron is scheduled for July release, and so should be available around the same time as this episode of IE.
Based on the original board game, MicroLeague also had Blood Bowl at the Chicago CES. Set in the 25th century, the game's premise is that future civilizations have forgotten our current society, until the discovery of an old football stadium leads to a futuristic version of football. Creatures and humans bring a violent twist to an already violent game in this sports simulation, which includes league and season play, along with head-to-head modem play. Forget about mollycoddling terrorists. In MicroLeague's Sabre team, you're in charge of a special unit of the British Army, whose mission it is to rescue 4 hostages who are being held at the American embassy. Once you save the Americans and eliminate the terrorists, you have a chance to take on 4 more missions: rescuing prisoners from a POW camp, destroying an underground nuclear installation, rescuing a hijacked ocean liner, and destroying a nuclear weapons center.
If soccer in this country goes through the roof because of the World Cup, MicroLeague is in position to take advantage with a different sort of game. Soccer Kid isn't just another attempt to come up with a soccer game. Instead, it's an adventure game for kids with a soccer motif. The Soccer Kid is tracking an evil alien spaceship that's stolen the World Cup. Dribbling his trusty soccer ball, the kid goes through 5 countries and faces 30 levels of enemies as he tries to recover the World Cup before the World Championship.
For those of us who are afraid to stare at the work on our computer for more than 10 minutes, MicroLeague has added basketball to its Timeout Sports series. This program consists of a screensaver, along with 4 games to provide a momentary diversion from the rigors of the workday. The game includes a 3-point competition, hot shot, horse, and sweat boy practice. The screensavers feature those old standbys Bernie and Jock.
To top it all off, that classic game Civilization has been updated to include true color SVGA graphics, 16-bit digital audio, and a 6-dimensional first-person perspective. Or maybe it was just hanging around for the heck of it. I'm not sure what purpose it served to display Civ at the CES, but there it was. Unfortunately, with my tight schedule, I didn't have time to hang around and build an empire to stand the test of time. Hey, didn't I already see this game on the PC next door? Oh, sorry, this is the Windows version. Now, I love Civilization in all its incarnations as much as anybody, Sid excluded, but why is it here? And furthermore, why is it here twice? Sid Meier's latest offering, Colonization, was at the forefront of the Microprose display and even had its own unveiling ceremony and trumpet fanfare. This sequel to Civilization focuses on the years 1500 to 1800. Players control English, French, Spanish, or Dutch explorers as they attempt to successfully colonize the new world of North and South America. The goal is to establish self-sufficient colonies, deal with the native populace, and eventually achieve independence from your mother company. Featuring the habit-forming gameplay of Civilization, the romance of the unknown, the lure of the untold wealth, and the golden Sid Meier name, you can count on Colonization to be one of the hardest addictions to shake off this fall. Another prominent offering from Microprose was Master of Magic. Designed by Simtex, the same guys who gave us Master of Orion last fall, this game takes you from your interstellar conquests and drops you into a medieval fantasy setting. You play a wizard who must establish territory in two worlds of different magical natures. Although it's technically a sequel to Master of Orion, it contains a city growth and management system very similar to that of Civilization. Gee, another mega hit strategy game? What'd you expect, Master of Spam? Does Microprose really think that we haven't played some of their best-selling games of all time? Do they think that we're interested in the sequels because we avoided the originals? Master of Orion is a great game, but I think that everybody already knew that. Come on, guys. Let's not turn 3 days of the newest and hottest projects in the universe into, oh boy, CES, the greatest hits package. Some previously released floppy games like Fleet Defender, World Circuit, and 1942 Pacific Air War were in the process of being ported over to CD-ROM. Microprose will take advantage of the extra storage space by including online manuals to do away with the need for the 200-page tomes that burden the necks of flight sims like a dead albatross. These tutorials feature full-motion videos and a point-and-click guide to cockpit instrumentation.
Hammer of the Gods is a combination of strategy and role-playing. Developed for New World by Several Dudes Holistic Gaming, who created Merchant Prince for QQP, Hammer of the Gods will offer the same mix of exploration, trade, and combat. You play a Viking hero who must compete with other heroes for the favor of Odin, the godliest of Norse gods. Quests must be completed for every Norse god in the book. You'll establish trade routes, pen military treaties, and explore the unknown lands, competing with others all the while. The game will run in 640 by 480 Super VGA and will offer modem and network play for up to 4 players. In Heroes of Might and Magic, New World takes the characters and location of their popular Might and Magic role-playing series and transplants them into a strategic war game. You compete with 3 computer-controlled warlords as you explore the land and conquer new territories in your search for the artifact of the ancients. You will hire, recruit, blackmail, and otherwise persuade heroes to join your cause, helping you gather armies of men and monsters and lead them to victory. With SVGA graphics, dozens of maps, customizable computer adversaries, and a random object placement generator to enhance replay, Heroes of Might and Magic is definitely a strategy game to watch for. In the wake of their success with Empire Deluxe, New World is releasing another strategic war game, this one called Iron Cross. A World War II game, Iron Cross allows players to reenact some of the crucial battles that led to the downfall of the Third Reich. The game features upwards of 80 different units, ranging from infantry to artillery and armor, each of which comes with historically accurate statistics. The gameplay in Iron Cross takes place in real time, allowing the desktop general to see the results of his strategy as they occur and act accordingly. Gamers looking for a good involving warfare simulation should keep an eye out for Iron Cross. Zephyr promises to be a fast-paced arcade game players can jump right into. In Zephyr, you pilot a state-of-the-art hover tank in deadly combat to gain corporate sponsors. You fly through the city in first-person 3D, ducking around buildings to avoid enemy fire, chasing fleeing targets through winding alleys, and meeting your challenges face-to-face in the open arena. The game supports keyboard, mouse, or joystick play, and will even support the VFX-1 virtual reality headset. Modem play and up to 6-person network play top it all off. If first impressions count for anything, expect Zephyr to be one of the leading shooters of the year. Donkey Kong Country is Nintendo's flagship for the second half of '94. Featuring their new graphic abilities aided by Silicon Graphics, Donkey Kong Country is full of beautifully rendered scenes with light source shading. The player plays Donkey Kong and guides him through many levels of danger. Baseball games come and go, as do most of the current baseball stars. The latest license of Nintendo is Ken Griffey Jr. As most baseball fans know, Griffey could be on his way to beating the home run record set by the great Babe Ruth. With real teams and logos and an actual playoff structure, Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball should be a baseball fan's dream come true. Nintendo has long been known for their cute and cuddly characters. Mario, Koopa, Donkey Kong, you know the crew. A while back they released Super Mario Kart. It wasn't a smash hit, but it was one of the best two-player games ever to be made, and one of the first Nintendo titles to include the FX chip. Officially, Stunt Tracks FX is not a sequel, but for all those eager Mario Kart fans it will have to do. This game has gone through so many name changes I wasn't quite sure what to call it, but the name on the machines being played at the CES was Stunt Tracks FX, so that's what we'll call it. Stunt Tracks FX has 4 unique trackses: Stunt Tracks, Time Tracks, Battle Tracks, and the Road Race, which has 12 levels. For race fans and Mario Kart fans alike, Stunt Tracks FX should be a great game. Uniracers is a simple racing game with 16 different unicycles to race with, and more than 6,000 frames of animation. Uniracers is also a 2-player simultaneous game with the option of a tournament mode for group play. Nova Logic had a small but good-looking booth in the far left corner of the CES. Their main event was Armored Fist, a tank sim that's been in the works for quite some time. There have never been a lot of tank simulations available, and M1 Tank Platoon, considered by many the definitive tank game on the PC, is several years old. Nova Logic hopes to unseat Microprose as king of the tank sim mountain with Armored Fist. With 4 tanks to choose from, 2 American and 2 Russian, incredible voxel space graphics like those that made Comanche a household name, a mission builder, and the possibility of net play, there's no doubt that Armored Fist should be a game to check out.
If you've ever had the desire to be Uncle Fester, Adam's Family Values for Motion will probably be your only chance. As Uncle Fester, you need to find baby Pubert as he's been abducted by his old nanny, Debbie Jelinski. To retrieve Pubert, you must sign over part of the estate or find him yourself. Adam's Family Values is a 1-player adventure game that will be released for both Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo in the 3rd quarter of this year. Be on the lookout because baby Pubert has been kidnapped. If you've ever had the desire to be at the highest level of government intelligence, Central Intelligence could be your only hope. Your main mission in this PC CD-ROM title is to depose the fascist dictator of San Madrigal. Interact with over 1,300 characters in your high-priority mission, and of course you will be aided by 3 top-ranked specialists. Based on the Fox television series, Eek the Cat continues his crazy ways through even weirder scenarios. For example, deliver a Christmas present that was thrown from Santa's sleigh during a head-on crash with a Boeing 747. And that, folks, is just the tip of the iceberg. Brain-teasing puzzles found through 6 wacky levels are just the type of fun things that Eek digs. Based on the summertime blockbuster, the Flintstones will feature digitized movie characters to give the game that movie look. Even if you're not aware that John Goodman played Fred in the movie, it is clearly recognizable that he was digitized for the video game version of Fred. Being released for both the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, the Flintstones should be available in the 4th quarter of this year. The save game feature for the Flintstones is a unique idea which requires you to turn cylinders that have the words on them to form a sentence regarding the game. Not only is that a neat idea, but there's a good chance that you may actually remember the password as well. The Flintstones looks like it will be enjoyable for all. For Motion, in the 4th quarter of this year, we will witness the arrival of Inferno. This sci-fi flight sim space adventure game has a storyline that is far from unique, but is none the worse for the wear. You play the greatest pilot known to mankind, and the human race faces extinction at the hands of the evil Rexon Empire. Inferno lets you pilot your ship any place a ship can go, and you can do it at any point in the game, so your flight path is not limited. Your ship can even be guided inside many buildings, albeit carefully. You can travel to and even on 7 planets and 3 moons, each with its own hemisphere shading and detailing. Inferno should make its presence felt when it's released on PC CD-ROM later this year. In Iron Angel, the weight of the world is literally on your shoulders as the fate of the planet is in your hands. All in a day's work, right? Well, in this day's work, you pilot the most sophisticated aircraft in history. You must prevent total annihilation by flying across barren moonscapes to the silent Earth. And remember, the fate of the planet lies in your hands. Born from a vat of jelly which is struck by lightning, Jelly Boy is a walking, talking blob of jelly that is determined to find the missing pieces of a lost puzzle. As Jelly Boy, you can morph into 27 different people to help you along your journey. Morph into objects such as a hammer, an umbrella, or a submarine. Jelly Boy is a 1 or 2 player game scheduled for release in the 4th quarter of '94. The sequel to the hit Super Nintendo game Jurassic Park 2 returns you to the island as Dr. Grant to rescue coworkers and battle carnivores in a race against time. You must first deactivate the island's energy field and face 12 new creatures not seen in the original Jurassic Park. Be prepared to be scared all over again. Mighty Max, your Saturday morning cartoon hero, will be making his way to the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. Your job, find and rebuild the weapon that Skullmaster has dispersed through 50 cities around the globe. If you don't, the world will face certain doom. Isn't this about the third time this week? Mighty Max is a 1 or 2 player simultaneous game and is scheduled for release in the third quarter. The Shadow for the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo is based on the original 30s radio program and comic book character, as is this summer's movie. As the Shadow, you must clean up the streets of the city and prepare for the final showdown with the city's meanest and nastiest criminal, Shiwan Khan. Trouble for the City spans 8 hellish levels, and the Shadow can use all of his tricks to do his job. Tricks include throwing brainwaves, secret mental powers, and being a master of nearly all weapons. The Shadow should appear in the fourth quarter of this year. Imagine being thrown into the streets of Chicago in the year 1929 when Al Capone and his gang rule the town. You must join the Untouchables in any of 5 assignments to prevent Scarface from destroying the Windy City. First-person, side-scrolling, and aerial perspectives in movie-like graphics make the Untouchables, untouchable. Paramount is in the process of releasing MPC versions of 2 games previously available only on the Mac. These are Lunicus, an interactive space adventure, and Jump Raven, an arcade-style action game that lets you help save the environment while flying around in a cool hovercraft and killing people. Of the Cyberflix games on display, Dust looked as though it might be the most interesting. Set in 1882, this game had good-looking graphics combined with an arcade feel to its gunfights. Dust will feature more than 30 interactive characters, shootouts with bad guys, high-stakes poker hands, and, of course, mystery and romance. The game was created with the Dream Factory, which Cyberflix is touting as a groundbreaking proprietary interactive technology. Dust will be available on the PC CD-ROM in 1995. To get an idea of what Skullcracker is all about, consider this message on the sell sheet. Not for members of Congress or weak-willed weenies. Your mission in this game is to keep the undead in their place. As a member of Mortality Enforcement, Inc., you roam cemeteries, cathedrals, and shopping malls through a variety of different levels to wipe out ghouls and zombies. There should be enough guts and gore in Skullcracker to satisfy any horror game junkie. Look for it around, Halloween. Since Paramount produces all of the Star Trek movies and TV shows, the company was able to get 5 of the major actors from Deep Space Nine to provide the voices for the role-playing adventure based on it. Your job in this game is to get to the bottom of trouble at the space station. You choose one of 4 different characters to play, either a human, a Klingon, a Ferengi, or a Bajoran. Your choice will affect the storyline since the main characters in Deep Space Nine will react differently to each of the 4 races. Paramount says this will be the first in a series of Deep Space Nine adventures. To demonstrate just how successful this old sci-fi warhorse is, the company announced that it has the game rights to Star Trek Voyager, the successor to The Next Generation, which isn't even on the air yet. Discworld, based on the best-selling fantasy parody novels by Terry Pratchett, is a role-playing adventure game which will be released for PC on floppy and CD-ROM this fall, followed by a Sega CD version in spring of 1995. You are free to travel through time and the many lands of Discworld that may aid you in the quest to rid the Twin Cities of Ankh-Morpork of evil dragons and their disruptive influence. Discworld looks brilliant graphically and features an interesting transparent interface that does away with an icon bar. Please note that all of the screenshots from Ecstatica have been taken from an early beta version and texture maps have not been completed. Welcome to the dream world of Ecstatica, where you must battle the monsters and evil demons that haunt the mind of the young girl dreaming this nightmare. Using ellipsoid technology, Psygnosis has created a more realistic and less angular look than the polygon-generated 3D games of the past. Mixed into Ecstatica are puzzle solving, fighting, and exploration as you seek to solve this young girl's nightmares. Ecstatica will be available for PC CD-ROM in the fall of this year, with the floppy version to follow in the winter of '95.
Hex, Heresy of the Wizard should be available concurrently with this episode of IE. In this role-playing adventure game, you must trek through labyrinthine dungeons while combining quick reflexes with puzzle-solving abilities. Gain oodles of magic items to aid you in your voyage to be the best that you can be. Psygnosis has scheduled the release of yet another Lemmings title for the fall of this year. Under the working name of Lemmings 3, there's a good chance these little green-haired morons will find their way back into your home once again to inspire neglect for your job, spouse, and family. Lemmings has undergone a facelift that should add even more appeal to the already popular game. The actual screen size of the Lemmings has been increased, so the little fellows have gotten slightly bigger. The addition of 120 new adventures and more user-friendly icons have reduced the amount of time required to lead the little drones to their goal. If you're a fan of the previous Lemmings games, Lemmings 3 should be right up your alley. Microcosm from Psygnosis is slated to be ported to yet another platform, the 3DO, and it should be on its way soon. Noted as an interactive cinema game, Microcosm should be able to flex its graphic muscles on the 3DO system. Corporate mogul Tyron Corsby has a small problem: a deadly droid implanted inside his body. It's your job to find and terminate it. The only way to complete your operation is by making your way through Tyron's body via miniaturized vessel. Good luck, and aim well. Psygnosis, now in their 10th year of production, will be releasing The Misadventures of Flink this fall. Flink must make his way through 50 arcade adventure levels that cover 6 different lands. Detailed and beautiful backgrounds conceal many 3D monsters that jump right out of the screen at you. Flink can also cast several spells that can be pre-mixed and saved until their use is required. Flying to the Sega CD and PC CD-ROM from Psygnosis is Nova Storm, one of the most well-detailed shooters to come our way in quite some time. The obvious implication of Silicon Graphics rendering and a CD-based game give Nova Storm the freedom to soar as high as it possibly can. The only remaining question is, can you pilot the experimental fighter Scavenger 4 with success and return freedom? Look for Nova Storm this fall. Shadow of the Beast 2 is being ported to the Sega CD. This unique puzzle arcade game is accompanied by stunning graphics with several levels of parallax scrolling and an ethereal CD soundtrack. It should be available by the time you view this episode of IE. Theater of Death is a PC action-based battle simulator with a bird's-eye view which also gives the gamer strategic control of up to 5 platoons at once and tactical control of several attack vehicles. Your job is to obliterate the enemy over the course of 50 different missions set on 4 separate battlefields. Look for Theater of Death any time now, but do so cautiously.
Plans are underway at QQP to come up with yet another entry in the war game market. The company is currently developing Battles in Time, a 2-tier strategy and tactics game that builds off the successful base provided by the company's Perfect General games. Like many QQP games, you begin by buying units. However, this game departs from the norm when it allows you to purchase additional units at the start of each of your turns. Battles in Time also rewards the deceitful player, since you can trick your opponent by using camouflage units. By the time you see this, QQP's Bridge Olympiad will be available in your local software stores. This card-playing game features a flexible design that should appeal to bridge novices and experts alike. For the beginner, the game has an online help function that provides expert advice. The veteran bridge player can play regular rubber matches or in a duplicate bridge tournament. Bridge Olympiad features a wide variety of potential playing partners who have different strengths and weaknesses. QQP announced that it's nearly finished with the CD-ROM version of the Grandest Fleet at the Summer CES in Chicago. Assuming that no last-minute problems crop up with the design, the new version of the game should be available by the time you view this episode of IE. According to QQP's Steve Cohen, the first shipping of the Grandest Fleet was the company's largest ever, and that reorders began coming in within 2 to 3 days of its initial release. If this pace keeps up, Fleet could eclipse the Perfect General as QQP's best-selling game. Work on Perfect General 2, QQP's sequel to Perfect General, is proceeding as scheduled, with the war game scheduled for a September release. Since the original is the company's best-selling game ever, there won't be many changes in the basic design. The graphics, sound, and artificial intelligence have all been updated, and PG2 will offer campaign play. Fans of QQP's style will be pleased to discover that the setup is the same. You choose your battle, then head to the hardware menu to spend your buy points on your equipment. The interface is simple. There are enough options built in to provide a challenge for the entire range of wargame players. For the Keep It Simple Stupid segment of the PC game market, QQP is unveiling Zigzag in late August or early September. This old Hawaiian word game is extremely easy to learn, but is challenging to play, a combination that QQP hopes will lead to a wholesale addiction by the gaming public. The game requires that you solve 4 to 7 letter words or 4 to 7 digit numbers over a limited amount of turns, with 9 levels of difficulty. In addition to regular play, Zigzag features 4 different quests that require you to solve a number of puzzles.
It seems that 2 fictional characters aren't enough of an outlet for funny guy Al Lowe. Now he's taking on some real-life cartoon characters. Capital Punishment, Al's latest project, is a collection of arcade games that lampoons pretty much everyone currently holding national office. In one section titled Bill and Hillary's Whitewater Adventures, you must guide the first couple down a river collecting cattle futures and avoiding those nasty IRS sharks. Of course, the game features 3 play modes: Democrat, Republican, and Independent. Fans of family-oriented animated PC entertainment should flock to King's Quest VII: The Princeless Bride. The last installment in this best-selling adventure series will actually have you playing 2 different characters. Titles like Aladdin and The Lion King are being thrown around to describe the animation, and for once, the hype is well-deserved. The pieces I saw of the game are truly cinema quality and should attract the attention of many gamers who've never thought twice about the King's Quest series before. Before the name Dynamic succumbs to the big mountainous one, expect them to have a lasting impression with Lode Runner: The Legend Returns. As you may have inferred from the title, this game is an update of the classic game of arcade action and quick-thinking strategy. Featuring 150 new levels and a level designer, the new version will have the same basic gameplay of the original title, but will add improved graphics and sound, as well as new features and transporters and slime-covered floors. At the show, Sierra officially announced that the first expansion disc for Outpost would be the Planet Pack. This add-on gives you new star systems to explore, more planets to colonize, additional natural disasters, and the economic interaction with the rebels that was absent from Outpost's original release. Sierra will take its turn on the Hollywood production multimedia hobby horse with Roberta Williams' new game, Phantasmagoria. This CD-only title will take a sharp left turn from the King's Quest and Laura Bow games, venturing into the realm of darkly horrifying adventure brought to life by live actors and SVGA graphics. If you were impressed with the graphics of The Seventh Guest but wish you were more than just a puzzle solver, seek out the evil when Phantasmagoria hits the shelves. In addition to the new products being unveiled at the show, Sierra had several products in varying stages of development on display. Outpost was being duplicated during the show and is now in release. Alien Legacy should prove stiff competition to its much-hyped brother. Aces of the Deep looks to be a terrific war sim and has the most realistic waves I've ever seen in a game. Front Page Sports Baseball will, cover all the bases, providing a great game for the trashing stat freak as well as the casual fan. Last but not least, Earthseed should certainly satisfy anybody's craving to climb into an armored mobile skyscraper and make large holes in anything they see.
Anyone who spent any time reading Shakespeare knows that if the Bard of Avon were alive now, he would probably be the head writer for a soap opera. After all, his classics are full of characters battling for power, ambition, and revenge. The same things we see in all the daytime TV. Based on this premise, Simon & Schuster Interactive has come up with Macbeth the game, hoping that once children get a look at Shakespeare, they might actually enjoy it. In this 3D game, the player is a slave to Macbeth's famous witches. While performing various missions, your child will portray a wide range of characters as he or she moves through the actual setting of the play. The game ends when all the missions are successfully completed, and the odds are good that if your kids hang on that long, he or she won't run screaming into the night the next time Shakespeare is mentioned. If your kids think their teachers are monsters, they're more than ready for the magic labyrinth of I Am Mean from Simon & Schuster Interactive. Say that 3 times fast. In this 3D CD game designed for children between the ages of 9 and 13, players must try to escape the evil labyrinth of I Am Mean, a librarian who is running amok. You need to work your way through 36 different levels as you try to escape the Mean Maze. Each level consists of a scroll composed by Mean, which is full of grammatical errors that your child must correct. in order to ensure that your kids aren't aware that they might be learning something. There are also plenty of means minions to blow away. So even kids with zero attention span should be engaged by I Am Mean. It's getting hard to keep track of all the different Star Treks, but one thing remains perfectly clear about the sci-fi series. It has a dedicated core of fans who are ready, willing, and able to spend their money. Simon & Schuster Interactive is going after the Star Trek The Next Generation market with an interactive technical manual created with the cooperation of the show's producers. This CD version of the book, which sold over 400,000 copies, features more than 10,000 interwoven photographs from the set of the Starship Enterprise. Through the use of QuickTime VR, a new virtual reality technology under development by Apple, the user can look at a photograph or rendered material in 360 degrees. Trek fans can cruise through the Enterprise and take a 3D look at the show's sets, models, and props.
Its projected release date has been pushed back a few months, but Jagged Alliance, a new strategy role-playing simulation from Surtech, should be in stores before Christmas. In it, you must choose a team from dozens of unique mercenary characters to stage a raid on a tropical island and retrieve a rare plant needed in the concoction of a medicine which will save dying children. The game will be released on both CD-ROM with full digital speech and floppy with an optional speech pack. Gameplay is non-linear and combines real-time and phased combat. Ian Curry, one of the game's designers, said that the game was nearing alpha stage at the time of the show and that he expects it to be released in November. Realms of Arcania Star Trail, Surtech's sequel to Blade of Destiny, is proceeding smoothly toward an October release date. At the Summer CES in Chicago, designer Guido Henkel said the fantasy role-playing game, which will be released in both CD-ROM and 3.5-inch disc versions, will be more user-friendly than its predecessor. According to Henkel, most of the complaints about Blade of Destiny centered around the fact that the game was oriented toward hardcore role-players. With that in mind, Star Trail has been designed to make things easier for the novice by expanding the help function, providing more detailed help for the beginner who gets stuck playing the game. Seeing as how the Wizardry series, now 7 entries strong, was the first release from a fledgling Surtech in 1981, it's no surprise that the company is still attached to the fantasy game. To that end, Surtech announced at the Summer CES that it would be releasing the next Wizardry game in the spring of 1995. Australian designer Cleve Blackmore is in charge of the new project, which is expected to continue the standard elements of the Wizardry games. However, Blackmore promises that the interface will undergo massive changes, making it state-of-the-art for the 1990s. ESPN's Baseball Tonight features digitized player animation and all 28 Major League Baseball teams. ESPN's Chris Berman calls the shots with pre- and post-game reports. ESPN Baseball will be available for the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Sega CD, and IBM CD-ROM. The Sega CD version will include real players from the Major League. Also featured in Baseball Tonight are home run derbies and pitching radar. Full season play is still up in the air at this stage in development. ESPN National Hockey Night features the NHL and its players in a fast-paced arcade-type hockey game. In Hockey Night, you can play a full 84-game season and track statistics with the help of a battery backup. Also featured is the ability to change gameplay views at any time during play. When you switch between overhead, vertical to side view, every player is remapped and placed in the exact same positions as the previous view. ESPN National Hockey Night will be available on the Sega CD and Genesis as well as the Super Nintendo. ESPN Speed World is a stock car racing game for the Sega CD, Genesis, and Super Nintendo. Its attention to detail is such that it even features drafting and slingshotting. Commentary is provided by ESPN's very own Jerry Punch. Unfortunately, ESPN Speed World does not have the NASCAR license, so no real drivers or cars will be seen in this racing kart, but you can race an entire season with a championship at stake. Take on the NFL in ESPN's Sunday Night NFL. 28 real teams that can play through a season, playoffs, and the Super Bowl. Sunday Night NFL offers a new end-zone-to-end-zone view that eliminates the passing window seen in all other football games. The new view really sets Sunday Night NFL apart from all other games because it keeps the gamer focused on the receiver and not a passing window. ESPN's Sunday Night NFL will be available for the Sega CD, which will have the real players, Super Nintendo, and Genesis. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is taken from the movie hit of last fall with the same name. This action-adventure game will put the player into the role of Frankenstein's monster. As the creature, you explore 6 levels to learn the secret of your creation. travel from Ingolstadt to the Arctic, and everywhere in between. All of the game's characters were animated using rotoscope to provide extremely realistic motion. Frankenstein will be available for the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. Also, a version will be released for the Sega CD that will include 2 different gameplay engines with 3D modeling and backgrounds. NBA Hangtime 95 for the Sega CD is actually 2 separate games in one. It has real NBA players and a selection of 27 NBA arenas where you can play 2-on-2 full court. In addition to the NBA arenas, there are 15 international outdoor courts where street games are held. NBA Hangtime 95 offers 1 to 4 players in either competitive or cooperative play in any combination in both basketball games.
Welcome. Let's play Jeopardy!
Another Sega CD and IBM CD-ROM offering from Sony ImageSoft based on a game show is Jeopardy! It features digitized footage of Alex Trebek, and a database of 5,000 answers should keep every Jeopardy enthusiast satisfied for a long time. Digitized graphics and sound make the gameplay just like the show that it was taken from. Probably the most exciting Mickey Mouse game to come down the old gaming chute in quite some time, Mickey Mania from Sony ImageSoft pays tribute to Mickey's 65th birthday. Featured in Mickey Mania are 3 unique gameplay engines, including side-scrolling and the innovative Coming At You 3D engine. Disney and Sony working together have produced a game that should not go overlooked as a simple kids game. All of our hearts and imaginations will be wrapped up in this game that includes Mickey cartoons from Steamboat Willie to The Prince and the Pauper. Mickey Mouse may be dubbed as a kid icon, but this game will have the potential to appeal to the child in all of us. Wheel of Fortune will feature Vanna White in digitized form. Other real additions include theme music, backgrounds, and sound music. If you're saying to yourself, I will have solved all the puzzles within an hour, you're mistaken, because there are 6,000 to solve. Wheel of Fortune will be available for the Sega CD and IBM CD-ROM. If you've always longed to be a pilot but were never able to reach the sky, Spectrum Holobyte's Wild Blue Yonder might help ease the pain of that unfulfilled dream. This multimedia reference guide, which will be released in PC, Macintosh, and CD versions, features 2 episodes, 50 Years of G's and Jets and The Golden Age. The narrative for both episodes was written by Walter J. Boyne, the former director of the National Air and Space Museum. There are interactive cockpits, mementos from the private collections of notable pilots, and historical combat and test flight footage. Thanks to the added space available on a CD, flight simulator fanatics won't have to worry about boredom for a while. Spectrum Holobyte has put together an impressive package in Falcon Gold, a CD collection which includes 5 different simulations and a separate training video. Falcon Gold allows for modem, direct connect, or network play. The simulations included in the collection are Falcon 3.0, Operation Fighting Tiger, Hornet, Naval Strike Fighter, MiG-29, and Art of the Kill. Fighter Air Combat Trainer is a digitized video based on real fighter pilot training. Star Trek The Next Generation may be off the air, but the program is far from forgotten. Spectrum Holobyte is capitalizing on that interest with a new PC CD-ROM game that will feature the voices of the show's 7 main characters, along with Majel Barrett, the computer voice on the show who is the widow of Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry. This game, called A Final Unity, follows the release of Futures Past, released for the SNES earlier this year. Spectrum Holobyte is presently working on A World for All Seasons, a 3DO design which it plans to have in the stores sometime next year. Spectrum Holobyte is bringing the science fiction adventure Iron Helix to yet another format. Already available for the PC and Macintosh, the company said at the Summer CES that it expects to have a Sega CD version ready for release in late August or early September. The basic format remains the same. The player must try to locate and disarm a biological weapon that will destroy the world in a 6-level spaceship. Designers say the transfer to Sega CD should result in better resolution and improved game speed. Given the flock of imitations that have sprung up from Tetris, Spectrum Holobyte decided to literally go right to the source for its new entry in the puzzle game market. They hired Alexei Pajitnov, the creator of Tetris, to design Breakthrough. While you start with nothing in Tetris, you begin with a wall of multicolored bricks in Breakthrough. You compete against the clock to break down the wall by clicking on matched groups of colored bricks. The game allows one-player and two-player modes, including head-to-head competition.
Role-playing fans looking for a change of pace and locale should be pleased with SSI's upcoming Alien Logic: Skyrealms of Jorun. Billed as a new wave fantasy RPG, the story starts 3,500 years in the future, when Earth is but a myth, and humans and other forms of intelligence survive by utilizing the tools and technologies of other cultures from different times. You will interact with 7 different alien species, each with their own moods, personalities, and motives. Not to be repetitive, but we've got yet another new game with SVGA graphics here. Like the rest of SSI's upcoming titles, Alien Logic looks like a very interesting game with a lot of things going for it. SSI will expand the Dark Sun universe they introduced PC gamers to last fall with the sequel Wake of the Ravager. The plot picks up from the ending of Shattered Lands and revolves around the political struggle in the city of Tyre, where the ruling Templars are powerless to enforce their edicts. The vast world of Dark Sun features 20 distinct regions, each with an environmental soundtrack keyed to the region's characteristics. The CD version of the game will feature extensive use of cinematics and digitized voice. Fans of blistering first-person action should keep their eyes peeled for Cyclones, a Doom-like shoot-'em-up with a high-tech tone. Earth is being overrun by alien invaders who have stolen human tissue samples to create cybernetic fighting machines perfectly adapted for Terran warfare. Earth's military have responded in kind, creating their own legion of Cyclones to fight for the planet. The game boasts a smooth scrolling first-person perspective, full-motion video and cinematics, and an intelligent targeting cursor that you control independently of your body motion. Running with the Ravenloft engine, Menzo Baranzan will be one of the last AD&D titles to squeak out SSI's door. It is a unique computer adventure in that it is the first game to involve the evil Drow elves. You must explore the fantastic subterranean realm of the Underdark, find your way to the capital city of Menzo Baranzan, and rescue the hostages the Dark Elves have taken from your village. Considering how popular the Underdark is in pencil and paper games and AD&D novels, this title should be a welcome addition to any role-player's library. Continuing their acclaimed line of war games, SSI will be releasing Panzer General around October. In this, the first SSI wargame to run in SVGA, you'll assume the role of a German general in 1939 Poland. With a touch of role-playing, you must lead your forces to victory to gain influence and prestige, which allows you to buy favors from other officers, such as getting your hands on hot new tanks before anyone else. The game will feature authentic World War II film footage as cutscenes between scenarios. Panzer General promises to be an easy-to-learn, yet highly involving game of military strategy, featuring over 35 scenarios ranging in length from 2 to 60 hours each. Renegade, the Battle for Jacob's Star, is SSI's entry into the realm of space combat. You play an angry, uncontrollable pilot with more than a little disdain for your superiors. Your insubordination gets you demoted to a backwater assignment at a remote supply station. But as luck would have it, a hostile alien force has its sights set on your station, and it's up to you to hold them off until reinforcements arrive. Following a developing trend at SSI, Renegade will sport SVGA graphics. It will also feature a dynamic plot that changes based on your difficulty level, successes, and failures. If you've ever wanted to make your own Bugs Bunny cartoon, this is the game for you. Acme Animation Factory by Sunsoft includes an entire array of tools to help create an original animation. You can use existing backgrounds or draw your own, color your characters, and finally set it all into motion. The sequel to one of Sunsoft's biggest hits, Aero the Acrobat 2, is on the way. The search for the evil Edgar Ector continues, taking Aero to new heights using a magician's box. Another 16 meg cart, Aero the Acrobat 2 should be everything the original was, and more. The classic story of good versus evil has finally been wrapped up into one game, The Death and Return of Superman by Sunsoft. This game takes the player through the various stages of Superman's life right up to the end. This 16 meg cart should be the best Superman game to date. Finally, a fighting game with some real fighters. Justice League from Sunsoft will incorporate some of the best-known DC Comics characters, including Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Arrow, and more. In the wake of NBA Jam, the cartridge market has been, jammed with 2-on-2 hoops games. Sunsoft is offering a new spin on this idea with Looney Tunes Hoop It Up. It's got the classic characters like Wile E. Coyote, Marvin the Martian, Bugs Bunny, the Taz, and even Elmer Fudd. This 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 basketball game looks like it'll be a blast. The smash hit for the PC will soon be available for your Sega CD. Mist by Sunsoft is a thoughtful interactive puzzle game. You must keep a journal of your findings and use every bit of information to try and solve the challenging puzzles in order to free two brothers who have been trapped inside a pair of magic books. Courtesy of Sunsoft, Porky Pig finally has his own game. It's a basic cartoon adventure game where Porky finds himself having awful dreams. It's your job to get him out of each one. Reminiscent of the old Warner Brothers cartoons, Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday should stir some old memories. Some of the most famous sleuths in cartoon history are about to come to your home. Scooby-Doo by Sunsoft is an interactive mystery where you control Shaggy and Scooby, with some help from Fred, Velma, and Daphne. Following the cartoon tradition, you'll have to unmask the bad guy when you solve each puzzle. First we had Mario, then we had Sonic. Now we've got a real speed demon, Speedy Gonzales, another cartoon character adventure by Sunsoft. As Speedy, your mission is to save all of the mice captured by an evil gang of cats. To keep up your strength, you must collect little cheeses along the way. One of the most popular cartoon characters of all time gets to try and catch the world's most hated bird. It's Sylvester and Tweety by Sunsoft. You play Sylvester in his harebrained attempts to catch and eat his nemesis. With 16 megs of animation and levels, Sylvester and Tweety will satisfy anyone who has always wanted to see the Tweety bird finally get ripped to shreds. Zero, the Kamikaze Squirrel, is Sunsoft's latest hero in an action-adventure game. Zero must rescue his forest homeland from the evil Jacques Le Cheats. This 16-meg cart looks perfect for fans of Aero the Acrobat.
If you've seen it once, you've seen it on every system. Now, thanks to Taito, Dragon's Lair is coming to the Sega Genesis. Even though the gameplay is not the same as the arcade, it still has the same basic plot. There are 32 stages to complete, and it's for 1 or 2 players.
With this year's hit movie, The Flintstones, Taito's new game, The Flintstones, The Treasure of Sierra Madrox, comes just in time. You play either Fred or Barney in an adventure to find an elusive treasure so that you may become the Grand Poobah. The Flintstones has over 70 stages of adventure with the ability to play 2 players simultaneously.
The Jetsons' Invasion of the Planet Pirates by Taito is an action-adventure title based on, of course, the cartoon series. In the Jetsons, you play George Jetson, who must save the world from invading space pirates. There are 5 worlds and 20 stages of great animation and gameplay to keep you tuned in to your Super Nintendo. Lufia and the Fortress of Doom is about to be released for the Sega Genesis by Taito. This latest role-playing game for the Genesis has been designed with the beginning to intermediate player in mind. With over 165 different monsters, 225 power items, 55 spells, and over 70 scenarios to battle through, Lufia and the Fortress of Doom should be attractive to players of all skill levels. Rainbow Islands by Taito is a game directed at small children. Somewhat reminiscent of Bubble Bubble, Rainbow Islands is a simple game with 6 islands to explore, each having 4 stages. Rainbow Islands makes up for its simplicity with engaging play for younger players. Sonic Blast Man 2 by Taito is the long-awaited sequel to the original hit Sonic Blast Man. With 2-player simultaneous action and 3 characters to choose from, Sonic Blast Man 2 may well turn out to be the sequel everyone's been waiting for. With the World Cup coming to the United States, there has been an influx of soccer games. Super Soccer Champ 2 by Taito will be released soon. Though Soccer Champ 2 is not licensed by FIFA, it does have 24 international teams to choose from and can be played with 4 players at the same time using the Super Nintendo multitap. However repulsive the word edutainment may be to your tender ears, it's the best descriptor for Assault on Everest. Some unidentified thing has crashed near the summit of the world's highest mountain, so it's time to send in one really strong guy to find out about it, right? In this case, played by traditional movie large person, Dolph Lundgren. Don't go thinking you can just go out and rent Cliffhanger instead of playing this, though. There's a lot of strategy and puzzle solving, as well as lots of factual information about Everest itself. Assault on Everest will be available this fall for the PC CD-ROM. Bill Cosby's Picture Pages started out as a great educational television program and has now made the leap to interactivity, thanks to Take-Two's new division, Child's Play. Cosby's character Mortimer Ichabod is ever present to lead the player through games that teach logical and creative thinking, relationships and patterns of thought, and basic reading skills. Picture Pages is a CD-ROM designed for children ages 3 to 5 and will be available for the PC in October and for the Macintosh in November. With Cosby going interactive, maybe we can expect to hear from Fat Albert before too long. The supernatural world stays well hidden from most people, but not from the prying eyes of the members of Bureau 13. In this game, based on a successful pen-and-paper role-playing game, the player takes a team of paranormal investigators into a series of challenging and chilling cases. This interactive adventure has combat and puzzle aspects, and the solutions change based on the skills of the assembled team. The soundtrack is CD quality, complete with lyrics. Look for it in the fall. Certainly the game with the largest budget of the Take-Two lineup is Hell, a cyberpunk thriller. How else could they have been able to hire talent like Dennis Hopper, Grace Jones, and supermodel Stephanie Seymour? The sinister plot puts the player on the run from the theocratic government who may actually control the gates to hell. Nicely rendered graphics, lots of celebrity action, and a storyline guaranteed to really tick off the moral majority. Who could ask for anything more? You can expect Hell to surface around October. Star Crusader puts the player in the middle of an interstellar war. It combines lots of arcade-style action with military strategy and a cinematic plot. As a Star Crusader, your mission is to expand the influence of the Green Empire, but you can play on either side and choose from 11 different ships and over 100 missions. The CD-ROM version will feature digitized speech and a cast of professional actors.
Akira by THQ is based on the incredibly popular Japanese animated film and comic books that may well be the definitive anime title. This 10-level adventure game has got an incredible combination of gameplay with fighting, driving, first-person role-playing, side-scrolling action, and three-quarters view adventure. If you're a fan of the series, or if you just like good adventure games, Akira's the game for you. If you're the type of fisherman who likes to catch fish but doesn't like to leave the comfort of your own home, THQ may have a solution. Bassmasters Classic is easily the best bass fishing simulator out there, with 5 different lakes to choose from and several different competitions to participate in. Thanks to his recent hit Ace Ventura, Jim Carrey is one of the most popular comedians around. With its awesome special effects courtesy of Industrial Light and Magic, his next film, The Mask, based on the Dark Horse comic, may be the most eagerly anticipated release this summer. THQ is hoping this will make their licensed adventure game a big hit on the SNES and Genesis at the end of 1994. In this side-scrolling adventure game, you control Stanley Ipkiss, a mild-mannered bank clerk transformed by an ancient relic into The Mask, an indestructible and very strange superhero. Ren and Stimpy, stars of their own Nickelodeon TV series, are making their way back to the SNES this fall. The Ren and Stimpy show Time Warp by THQ puts our oddball duo in hot water, leaving it up to you to get them out. When the two win a time machine from Muddy Mudskipper, they promptly get lost in time. Weird items and combination attacks highlight this off-the-wall adventure game. SeaQuest by THQ is based on the popular NBC series of the same name. There are a total of 24 missions in all, and a choice of 7 different vehicles with which to complete each mission. Each vehicle has a special ability, making it ideally suited for certain missions. You can take the plunge along with the crew of the SeaQuest on the SNES and Sega Genesis in the 4th quarter of '94.
Battlecore for the Sega CD, created by Core Design for Time Warner Interactive, uses the same engine used for AH-3 Thunderstrike. As you can see, Battlecore is essentially a mech warrior game for the Sega CD. Battlecore has over 30 game objectives with 12 different weapons available to use. If you liked AH-3, you should definitely take a look at Battlecore. Bubba and Sticks, a game created by Core Design incorporated for the Time Warner Interactive, is a simple adventure game with a simple plot. You play Bubba, a truck driver kidnapped by aliens. You must use a stick to keep your friends to escape this new alien world. The stick's name, of course, just happens to be Sticks. How creative. Bubba and Sticks will include over 340 frames of animation.
Commando Raid by Time Warner is a lot like the heavy metal of old. The graphics are fantastic, utilizing a new technology called Superspin to create a new form of gameplay. The superspin technology allows the Genesis to manipulate 3D objects and textures in a 3D world at a whopping 30 frames per second.
They said it couldn't be done. They said it wouldn't work, but Time Warner Interactive has done it. Dick Vitale's Awesome Baby College Hoops for the Sega Genesis has a 3D rotating court. This college hoops game will also include Dick Vitale's ultimate announcing voice. Flying Nightmares is a Sega CD title created by Domark for Time Warner Interactive. Flying Nightmares is what you'd expect from a Domark title, a flight simulator. You are a squadron leader piloting Harrier jump jets into battle. With full motion cut sequences and a true flight sim engine, flight jockeys should love this new CD title.
Generations Lost is an incredible action-adventure game. With graphics somewhat resembling those of Out of This World and Flashback, Generations Lost could be the adventure game of the summer.
Kawasaki Superbike Challenge is another Domark game created for Time Warner Interactive. Kawasaki Challenge utilizes an improved version of the Formula One engine, has 15 circuits to choose from, and offers such intriguing features as night racing. Based on the movie, The Lawnmower Man is actually a melting pot of several different game styles. There's 3D driving, flying, puzzle, and side-scrolling action. You actually play either Dr. Angelo or Carla, pitted against Job, the newfound wonder genius.
Marco was one of the cuter titles at CES. It's a simple side-scrolling action-adventure game with an entertaining twist. As Marco, you must defeat evil bad guys with the various tricks you can perform with your magic soccer ball. Juggle, headbutt, and bicycle kick your way through the levels. Payne Stewart Pro Golf is one of Time Warner Interactive's few sports titles for the Sega Genesis. It includes a unique 3D perspective with hills and valleys. Included with Payne Stewart Pro Golf are the options to practice putting, practice driving, stroke play, match play, a skins game, and even the ability to place a 3D camera anywhere on the course for instant replay. Rise of the Robots was developed by Mirage for Time Warner Interactive. This robotic fighting game includes up to 100 animations for each robot, and artificial intelligence that learns to defend itself better and better. With 6 distinctive robots to fight, this original fighting game should be a smash hit. Core Design's newest shooter game, entitled Skeleton Crew, is being published by Time Warner Interactive. Skeleton Crew is very reminiscent of the old arcade smash hit, Smash TV. Some of the highlights of Skeleton Crew are that the sprites are large, there are 7 zones to complete, 8 end-level bosses, and 2-player simultaneous play.
Soulstar for the Sega CD is yet another title created by Core Design for Time Warner Interactive. Soulstar is a space shooter with 6 different planets to explore, and 40 missions spread out among the planets. Soulstar can be played with 1 or 2 players in 360 degrees with full texture maps. Soulstar is also the first Sega CD game to use all 64 colors. Tech Magic has created one of the most beautifully animated cartoon adventure games ever in KG Capers. Sylvester and Tweety will be published by Time Warner Interactive and will include 7 different levels to play in, with some of Sylvester's old buddies like Spike, Granny, Hippity Hopper, and more.
Here's something to sink your teeth into. Last year's popular interactive CD-ROM movie Dracula Unleashed has been reformatted on a special combination disc for both PC and Macintosh. Dracula Unleashed incorporates over 90 minutes of video with over 40 live actors into a story based on Bram Stoker's legendary Gothic novel. The player takes on the role of Alexander Morris, brother of Quincy Morris from the book, who must, of course, seek out and destroy the title vampire. Filming has barely begun on MTV's Club Dead, a CD-ROM adventure that takes the fast editing style from the infamous cable music video channel. The story takes place in a Westworld-like vacation resort where the player has been hired to repair as a cyber plumber. Don't be put off by the fact that the press kit refers to the game as mind melting. Be on the lookout for this in mid-1995. Today's kids are already picking up computer operations faster than they learn to tie their shoes, so Viacom has taken the logical step in producing Nickelodeon Directors Lab. With the video help of Clarissa Explains It All's Melissa Joan Hart and an easy interface, kids can produce multimedia presentations, mini-movies, music videos, and more. This CD-ROM package is powerful enough to support files created in commercial production tools. Marshall McLuhan would be proud. Look for it in the fall. If you know someone who is itching to become a member of that campfire storytelling club, the Midnight Society, they should look into Viacom's new CD-ROM, Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Tale of Orpheus Curse. To achieve this singular honor, the player must guide a story begun by one of the Society's regulars. There's lots of puzzles to solve, classic film design, and the familiar characters and setting of Nickelodeon's popular program. Don't be afraid to seek out The Tale of Orpheus Curse on CD-ROM this fall.
What if the balance of power suddenly shifted to the third world countries? That's the premise of Command and Conquer, a new strategy game. A strange meteor hits the Earth in the near future, creating a powerful new energy source, the mineral tiberium. It's only available in strange places like Cambodia. Command and Conquer takes the strategy engine from Westwood Studios' popular Dune 2 Battle for Arrakis and enhances it with an original storyline, hot-looking graphics rendered in 3D Studio, and live-action video. The game will probably be available in early 1995. Get your guns out. Creature Shock is a first-person perspective shoot-'em-up with some nicely rendered disgusting things to shoot at. Okay, there's also spaceflight levels and a pretense of a storyline, but the real attraction here is the big, gray, nasty things lunging at you. Creature Shock will be available in November. The popular Dune novels by Frank Herbert have already been translated into PC games. Virgin will be releasing the strategy game Dune 2 for Genesis this fall. The more adventure-oriented Dune 1 will be released on Sega CD. However, both products will simply be entitled Dune. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the Herbert novels, yes, both of you, the games revolve around Arrakis, a desert world which is the only source of a spice called melange, which enhances psychic power. The spice makes hyperspace travel possible, so it is crucial to all interspace commerce. If you want to know more, visit your local library. We can only take this forget-reading business so far, you know. Helicopter Aquatic Warfare Command, or HAWK, is billed as one of the most realistic helicopter flight sims yet. The player is in charge of a band of mercenaries hired to wipe out a ring of pirates that wreak daily havoc on the Singapore Strait. The player controls 6 attack copters and must make the South China Seas safe for commerce once again. Take note, this flight sim is based on something other than a military plotline. That's as rare as Fashion Sense in the 70s. HAWK will be compatible with the Thrustmaster control systems and should be available before the end of the summer. The Disney version of Kipling's Jungle Book has been transformed into a fine-looking platform game similar to Aladdin. It'll be available for the SNES and Sega Genesis in late July or early August. Hey, that's right about now. Mowgli swings through the jungle encountering friends and enemies from the film, including Baloo and Shere Khan. This game may serve as a good reminder to younger players that these characters did not originate with Tailspin. The third installment in the Corandia series, Malcolm's Return, has Malcolm, the villain from Corandia 1, returning to life, that is, and trying to clear his name. While the graphics are very much in the mode of the first 2 Corandia games, they have much more of a 3D aspect and are more fully rendered. This game is scheduled for Christmas release. Lands of Lore 2 promises to be a visual feast of an adventure game, complete with demons and dragons fully rendered in 3D Studio. Virgin was keeping mum on the exact details of the plot, but the game is scheduled for release in early 1995. The popular PC golf game Lynx will soon be available for play on the Sega CD. It is pretty much an exact replica of the play on the Torii course with minimal change in the interface. One interesting point to note is that Virgin pretty much reconstructed the course from scratch. The Sega CD version should be available in late August or early September. Remember the good old days when dinosaurs and humans coexisted? No, I'm not talking about Jurassic Park 2. This is Lost Eden. In this strategy adventure game, the player is Adam, the king's son, who must find out the secret of the builders with his dinosaur buddies. Lost Eden is similar to the original strategy adventure game Dune, and also uses a similar engine. You can look for it around the holiday season. The industry is on the verge of being inundated with giant, battling robot sims. Mech Commander is Virgin's take on this theme. The player controls a huge battle robot that plods over the terrain of near-future Earth, trying to restore the political balance and blow the bejeebers out of the bad guys. As you progress in the game, you can improve your armaments and armor, and become even more dangerous. Mech Commander uses 3D bitmap action and texture mapping, in addition to more than 20 minutes of stop-motion model animation. There's even a chance to blast the heck out of your friends in modem play. So put on your Min-May album and try and wait patiently until this comes out on CD-ROM in the fall. Here's some more quick news from Virgin. Beneath a Steel Sky, reviewed in IE Episode 3, will be available in its CD-ROM American version with full digitized speech, as you hear this digitized speech. Cannon Fodder, also reviewed in Episode 3, is about to be released in the US, complete with an 8-minute MPEG cartoon. And finally, the 11th Hour, previewed in Episode 2, is scheduled for an August or September release. The hot news is that the new Groovy player is supposed to get 30 feet per second from a double-speed CD using software only. A sequel to Out of This World will be released for Sega CD before the summer is out. For those who haven't gotten to play the original game, it is also included on Heart of the Alien Out of This World 2.